Hey there, what's up, everybody? This is the second episode of the Pierre Coaches Talk. Um, I am going to be discussing the Kansas City Chiefs today. That's why the background's a little different than my first video when I talked about the Panthers. As a Panthers fan, I feel as though I do a good job of respecting other teams and other organizations. And where I live, I'm around a lot of Chiefs fans. So consistently, I'm always asked, hey, from a coach's point of view, what are you seeing that's going on with this team? Or, hey, I know I'm a fan, but here's what I'm seeing. Do you agree? So I'm going to go ahead and do a video just discussing some of the things I've noticed in this organization. Because at the end of the day, if my team can't win, that doesn't mean I don't want their team to win. And if I'm your friend, if I can't win, I'm still going to be your friend. I'm still going to support you guys and what you do. And I hope you guys are successful. And over the last 7 years, it's been a fun ride in this area. I tell you what, um, watching the Chiefs win 3 Super Bowls, win 5 AFC championships, going to 7 straight AFC title games, and the last 9 years having 9 consecutive AFC West championships. That is a dominance that is impressive. You don't see that all the time. And here's the crazy thing, it can probably keep happening, but for whatever reason, this year things just aren't falling the same way. Things just haven't gone right all season long. Cracks on every level. This organization is showing up, and the Chiefs right now are 6-7. And I'm gonna go through piece by piece, just kind of talk about what I'm seeing from every level. Um, One of the big things is every organization, it always starts with leadership. And I'm going to start with the top. Every issue starts at the top. And I think the big thing I've noticed for the Chiefs organization is where they play, Arrowhead. Um, Clark Hunt is moving at a slow pace when it comes to this rebuild. There's been all sorts of different things that they've talked about. And what the crazy thing is, the Chiefs are worth over $1 billion. So something has to be done with an aging stadium. There's no reason why Kansas City can't host a Super Bowl, be a site to where more events happen. Yes, they do a good job of taking care of the people that do come, but it can be so much more. And and I think another thing people seem to forget is before all this happened with the success of the Chiefs, people in Kansas City were after Clark Hunt. In the year 2011, 2012, it was a bad time for the Chiefs organization. Clark Hunt saw around the stadium that people were not happy, and he made the decision to go and change some things. And and even though those changes were made, I think some of the success is creating that lack of urgency because you almost start taking some of those things for granted. Last year, he was ranked one of the lowest ranked owners during the NFLPA survey. And I mean, that's not an accident. I just think it goes down to urgency. When you're having success, you're going to keep doing the same thing. It's human nature. And if you're not a natural innovator, sometimes you just need a kick in the pants to go, oh, right, this is what I need to do. Um, the stadium thing also is weird because it's almost putting Kansas and Missouri against each other. They've both thrown good bids, and they're still trying to work on both options in terms of trying to fix Arrowhead, but also, hey, let's go ahead and tease with what's going on in this area or that area. Um, I just think at the end of the day, if they're going to, if I'm them, I'm not relying on nostalgia. I'm trying to build a new stadium as fast as I can, but I'm not a fan. I know a lot of people love that stadium. They have so many memories attached to it, but that's how I view it. But either way, something needs to be done sooner than later. And here's the big thing. You can look at Jerry Jones. You can say a lot about Jerry Jones, but the one thing you can never say about him is he isn't one to put his chips in the middle of the table and just go for it. And I think the few times that the Hunts have done that, they've had success. I've already talked about Andy Reid and that big decision of stopping him in the tarmac before he could go to Arizona and visit other places and go, no, I want you to be my head coach. And it worked out brilliantly. Moving up to get Patrick Mahomes, a brilliant move. Even before that, he had his father Lamar go up and set up a team in the AF for the AFL, go ahead and set up a Super Bowl. I mean, those are the two biggest things in decisions that possibly not only changed football, but also American history. And that's not hyperbole. That's just a fact. Where would we be if the NFL was not the NFL like we know it? Where would we be if the Super Bowl wasn't as big as it is? His father has a legacy for that. He's made those decisions as well. And I think sometimes you just got to remind yourself, hey, it's okay to take a chance. It's okay to take a chance. So after you have owner, now moving down to GM, Brett Veach. Brett Veach has done so many cool things, so many great things in this organization. But I think he's fallen to the trap of loyalty over production. Um, there's several players on this team, and I'm going to start with the All Pro Hall of Famer tight end, Travis Kelce. And I know part of it is I think Kelsey's retiring this year anyway. His contract's up. I don't see him playing anywhere else. The man's married to the biggest pop star in the is getting married to the biggest pop star in the world. And I'm not saying that's a reason for his play and lack thereof. He's still doing decent, but it's not Travis Kelce. The man's 36. But beside Travis, there's several other guys who I'm going, why did you pay him? And I think right now Veach is trying to just move the train along and do short-term patches instead of actually getting down to the nitty-gritty and fixing big things. Um, the Chiefs have tried to draft replacements for those aging veterans, but it and I've seen either a couple things where they think they found the guy and they've paid him too quick, or they waited too long and now they don't have anything. For instance, when they replaced Frank Clark with George Karlaftis. And at first, it looked like a great move until it's not. No offense to Karlaftis, but he's not a top 20 defensive end. He's a decent player, but they're paying him good money, and that production is not there. But in the meantime, you still have Trent McDuffie that's up, and I would rather have a solid corner versus a solid defensive end. And how can I say that as a defensive line coach? I'm gonna tell you right now, if you get a couple hungry guys on the line, you can find those guys a lot faster than guys who can actually cover and make an impact in the secondary. I know it's crazy, but good coaching can help your defensive line a lot more than coaching can assist those defensive backs. Defensive back is the hardest position to play in the football field because not only do you have to play the wide receiver, but you're almost doing it backwards. So I personally value those positions a lot more. And I think that they just needed to pay McDuffie versus Karlaftis, and they wouldn't be in this position. The other thing I've noticed is I think Veach almost, since having Tyreek Hill, they almost thought, hey, if we can have another fast receiver that can take the top off the defense, we can almost keep this train going. I would say they almost traced types of receivers into the roles. Like Rice is not that Tyreek mold receiver, and he's been their most consistent receiver since he's been drafted. But they have Hollywood Brown, they have Worthy, they have Tyquan Thornton, three guys who all virtually do the same thing. They've now made Worthy almost a gadget guy, but The man's a 160 pounds. Are you kidding me? But they're trying to run him all over the stuff, and then you have Thornton, who's essentially every ball he gets is 30 plus, and he's either going to catch it, drop it, or it's an overthrow. And then Brown is your slot receiver that will go in and out or with back in. It's like they have these types and they're all trying to do different things, but it virtually makes no sense. Get back to playing complementary football. Get a possession receiver. Get a slot technician. Get a reliable yak guy. Beside Rice, they don't have any of those things. And I think Veach needs to do a better job of understanding Reid's system. And I'm not saying he doesn't. That's I'm not. But Reid essentially runs a West Coast offense. Timing, accuracy, yak yards. Tyreek Hill was an amazing Hall of Fame level player, but that almost skewed the way that offense is ran, and they need to go back to drafting players that fit the scheme. And I think when those players, some of those players are going to be up for contracts, they need to stop paying these good players great money or off potential. If they walk, they walk, but you almost have to tell yourself they can be replaced. Uh, the other thing I didn't like from Veach these last 2 years is there's no aggression. Howie Roseman is the best GM because he's willing to make a deal instantly. And you can't tell me Veach isn't willing to do that. He's done so in the past. You traded Tyreek, you got all those draft picks, and you made good selections. So where's that aggressiveness? Where? Like, you're telling me the Chiefs couldn't use a running back? Like, you're telling me a Chiefs couldn't trade to get another edge rusher? You're telling me the Chiefs couldn't look around and try to either bolster the offensive line or make another move to help this team be in a better position than when they are today? I just feel like they've used so many short-term fixes that it's almost built up to the point to where they needed this year to reevaluate everything that's been going on. The next thing, and it's not fun to say as a fellow coach, but coaching. I feel like it's almost the biggest elephant in the room. I'm gonna say this. Here's what I'm seeing. I see as though there's no real accountability from anybody. No one gets after any of the players, and there's no bark to anyone's bite. I'm gonna say this. Eric Bieniemy did a lot of good things in Kansas City, and the fact that that man never got a head coaching position still boggles me. Still boggles me. After he left for Washington, yes, he got fired the next year. Sam Howell was his quarterback. It is what it is. But the year he left, the Chiefs still won the Super Bowl, but you could tell something was different. That team led the league in drops. It struggled with red zone efficiency, and it failed to convert and keep those drives going into touchdowns. They literally dropped from second in points per game all the way down to 15th. They were fortunate to win the Super Bowl because they had to rely on dinking and dunking and check down heavy approach so that it could keep the offense going. Teams were still hesitating to keep playing back, giving the Chiefs the check downs, and when in actuality, that's really what they could have done. That's really what they could do that year. And the other thing that boggles my mind was the running game got worse. Like there was no explosive in the running game. The offense just became Patrick Mahomes heavy. Patrick, please save us. And it was predictable. And even though the enemy was not perfect, he did so many good things that it it almost brought that fire and intense. The thing that he brought was fire and intensity to that locker room. like it or not, LaShawn McCoy even brought that up to where he wasn't a huge fan, and he was like, "What does Andy Reid? What does Coach Bieniemy do? Only Andy Reid calls the plays." But he was like, "Hey, everybody in that locker room knew. Hey, but Shady, you're upset because he got after you, because he got after everybody, and maybe that wore thin on everybody. Because again, if you're not the head coach, if you're not the head coach." You're just the OC or the DC, and I'm going to bring the DC into this as well. If and you're just constantly on guys, on guys, on guys, it can get exhausting. And usually those guys, when you have success, leave to become head coaches somewhere. And so the fact that he never had that opportunity, he was almost forced to leave. And that brought in Nagy. Nagy was there. And Nagy does a decent job, but he's not a screamer. Coach Reid's not a screamer. I don't know anybody in that coaching staff who still brings that level of intensity, but also authority so that guys are almost forced to listen. Like, no matter how great a team is, you need someone to almost wake you back into focus. You need someone to feel that as though, golly, even though I'm getting chewed out, it's just the fact that I know I got to do this right or I'm going to get nagged and I'm going to have to re-up everything that I'm doing. Like having someone on your case just helps you with the fundamentals. Everybody needs that. This is a veteran team. Young teams need coaches who can help build them. Veteran teams need them to help get focused. And I know it's crazy to say, but it's true. When you're a veteran team, it's been there, done that, especially when you win, especially when you win big. So it's about fine tuning the small things in the details every single practice, every single game. Coach Saban talks about the process. It's the same thing here. You start focus on the process. Yes, the results happen, but it's because you follow the process. And I think this coaching staff, no one is truly following the process. There's a lot of fun and creativity, but it means nothing without that fundamental. The other thing I'm seeing is the offense is almost predictable. It becomes so Mahomes dependent. Like, I'll say this. The Chiefs are on prime time half the year, from Christmas, Monday nights, Sunday nights, the Super Bowls, playoffs, so on and so forth. They've been on prime time so much that defenses know their stable plays. Like defenses know trick plays are happening, so it almost forces them to be fundamentally sound every single game they play. Like even setting up different formations doesn't really matter because they know what the formations are. Like, hey, we're gonna run the full house, we're gonna run split back veer, we're gonna do X, Y, and Z. We're gonna run this formation that has been ran since the 40s. All cool ideas and concepts, but everyone knows some trickery is going to happen. So all week long, defenses are basically taught, hey, be fundamental. No matter what happens, be fundamental. No matter what happens, be fundamental. Remember the shovel pass? Remember the Chiefs had ran the shovel pass quite a bit. But then after the third, fourth time, it stops working because everyone knows you run the shovel pass. It, it's almost the same thing here, where now that the predictability is catching up to where they almost need to be more and more creative. But then that relies you as an offense to be fundamentally sound. And it's no offense to Coach Reid, but the man is 67. And I think just having a new voice helps that locker room, helps that team. And I'm not saying get rid of Coach Reid. That's not it. No. That'd be foolish. But bringing in some younger coaches, some fiery coaches, somebody who can just light something in this team. My suggestion would be to bring in a Brian Daboll, somebody who knows offense, you can trust, run your scheme, but is also not afraid to get in somebody's face when they're messing stuff up. Look at Steve Spagnuolo. The man was not on the Coach Reid coaching tree, but that was the best decision he ever did by bringing him in, trusting him to run the defense. And 3 Super Bowls later, Coach Reid is on the Mount Rushmore of NFL coaches. And I just think ultimately, no matter what happens, the Chiefs struggles. It's not just because of the roster or individual players. It's just a reflection of the system itself. It lacks accountability. There's no urgency in leadership. Like Brett Veach has done a good job by bringing in certain players, but without coaches demanding excellence, fine tuning things, getting back to just basic fundamental football, even the best rosters don't reach its potential. And let's be honest, multiple players have said, including Travis Kelsey, they prefer this roster over last year's roster. So what happened? I think the main issue has just been coaching. And it's not coaching bad, but stale coaching. And sometimes that's just the same, stale coaching. Offense. So heart and soul of this team, the offense. And in the heart of the soul of the offense is Patrick Mahomes. Everything runs through Patrick Mahomes, and that's a problem. Like Patrick Mahomes is asked to be Superman every single week. Yes, at worst, Mahomes is a top 5 quarterback of all time. But even Michael Jordan wasn't expected to hit every game winner for for all 82 games and score 85 points every night. The Chiefs lean on him too much. Can multiple games, Mahomes has been the lead rusher for the team. Lead rusher. Lead rusher. The running game doesn't exist. It hurts everything. Like even against the Texans, and if you want to go back, go ahead and watch this. The Chiefs tried multiple play action rollouts to try to get the linebackers to move, the defense to react, and they did find some success. But here's the issue: the counter is if everyone bails and you give it to the running back, if the running back can't give you an explosive off that, it does you no good. And no running back on this roster is punishing the weak linebacker play. Kareem Hunt is a glorified 4 yards to carry back, but can only give you 4 to 6 yards explosions. But Pacheco, I like Pacheco, but he's still not. He doesn't look right. There's no explosive anymore from him. And he was never a burner by any means, but typically he could give you a 20-yard run here and there, even burst it for 40. No, he's off. Smith is still a rookie. And he hasn't. I thought he would have been immediately used more often, and he hasn't. I don't know if it's because he doesn't know the offense. I don't know if he can't run between the tackles, but they use him a lot more as a scat back, and he looks fast. So I'm almost thinking use him as your between the tackles back a little bit more. But maybe he can't do it. But the Chiefs need a running game. It, it really doesn't make any sense to me. Defenses don't respect the run, which makes everything easier to defend. If I don't respect your run, nothing Mahomes does is really can hurt me because we're playing the pass 100%. The other thing it would help is the offensive line. Yes, injuries have made it hard. Like rotating tackles all year long is hard. But even even having a running game would at least give those offensive linemen not so much on their heels and allow them to reestablish the line of scrimmage. Um, Injuries have made both the pass blocking and run blocking inconsistent, but all linemen know how to run block and step into the right gap. Pass protection is a little bit more refined, and that's where you get your upper echelon of players. The other thing is watching their offense, quick dives, and just slow developing power runs don't win games because, again, it goes back to the running game. They're not very explosive. There's no potential of of it hitting hard and busting through. And I think great NFL dynasty could run the ball when they need to run the ball. Even the Chiefs a couple years ago could do it. And yes, them be able to get situationally 1 yard at a time helps. You need to be able to do that. But games are won in the NFL by getting chunk plays and explosive plays. And in the running game, they're not doing that. And I'm going to go to the star of the show, Mahomes. Mahomes hasn't looked right, and he's been banged up. Couple of those deep balls he's overthrown. Yes, the receivers have dropped passes, but consistently Mahomes has missed deep shots this year, even against single high coverage, which shocked me. Multiple times against that Broncos team, I thought the game was going to be wide open after he hit a couple of those deep shots, and he missed a few of them. And that's what kept the team in the game, and eventually that's how the Chiefs lost. Teams are starting not to feed the deep ball because they know Kansas City can't run the football. And Mahomes just hasn't been perfect on those long throws. I think this offseason, he's just going to need to refine his footwork, some of his mechanics, and possibly throwing technique. It's not because it's broken, but he, all great players go back in the offseason, just fine tune, fine tune, fine tune. Brady did it every year. He had his quarterbacks coach, Tom House, and they worked every offseason about what can he do to either get his arm stronger, more accurate, or make sure it's more and more refined and retooled. Tiger Woods, he switched up his swing, even when his criticism, he was still able to win multiple championships after that. And I think um, in looking at Jordan, and this stat was crazy to me. Jordan's final 2 years, he was hitting 82% on that fadeaway jump shot. 82%. 82%. And all he did was work on it. And what I'm saying is, Mahomes, as great as he is, the great ones always are great at the basics. Colin Cowherd says this all the time. Hey, be great at the basics and only be asked to do something spectacular a handful of times a game. And what I see on the offense is, and and this floored me when I heard Greg Cosell say this, because I've been saying this for years. Everything is too Mahomes reliant. The offense now just expects Mahomes to make a spectacular play to bail them out. Like, Kansas City can't ask Mahomes to be in the entire system anymore. They need a running game. They need dependable offensive line play and receivers who complement each other instead of just having similar sets. And now you're trying to mishmash guys and hope that, hey, this fast guy can do this, but this fast guy can do that. No, Mahomes doesn't need to play the hero. He just needs to be himself. Give him good structure, and he will win again. And he's more than enough. The man's a top 5 quarterback of all time. Give him that opportunity. Lastly, defense and special teams. My biggest issue with the defense I've seen is they're blitzing way too much. And I know part of it is they can't trust their defensive line. They've had a number of injuries or guys haven't developed. I've already mentioned Carl Loftus, who they thought would take that next leap this year and just hasn't. They drafted that defensive tackle this year, and they thought he'd be playing a lot more, and he just hasn't. And I get it; he got injured. They've had to bring in a couple retreads like Pennell and uh, Nagy, and but they have no pass rush with their D line. They need to invest in the D line again. But in the meantime, they're trying to blitz, and now everyone. The sexy thing about this defense is they can blitz, and they blitz effectively, but their blitz rate this year is way higher than years past. Spags knew when to blitz because he knew it was effective. Now teams are expecting him to blitz, and he's having to generate pressure, and teams are now adjusting. The other thing is they can't get off the field. Kansas City this year is ranked 26 in third down defense. It again, it's a sign that hey, it doesn't matter if it's third and short or third and long. Teams aren't being pressured enough to get stops, and they are continuing drives. Your defense is getting more wear and tear, defense is getting tired, and when the fourth quarter happens, you are exhausted. Great defenses. They're able to force punts and turnovers. Kansas City has been forcing a lot of turnovers as well. So they've also they've also just need to make sure they can clean up some of those fundamentals and work on getting a decent rush with four. At this point of the season, Kansas City should be able to get after the quarterback with four. Stop blitzing so much. Uh, the other thing is special teams. Harrison Butker, love the guy, but he's missed 8 kicks this season, tied for the NFL league. Multiple penalties and blown assignments on punt kick returns and kickoffs and punts. Special teams is what wins games for championship teams. This is a team in the past that was built on precision and execution. Dave Tobe's unit was always fantastic, but these events are happening more and more and more. And as a coach, it's frustrating because you're not coaching throughout the week. I know they're not, but it's happening. So you start with yourself and then you continue to go out and go, what do I need to do to make sure the message is clear that, guys, this is unacceptable. Penalties kill us. And these are professionals. So you do what you need to do. For defense and special teams, if they can't get off the field, you're just giving your opponents more chances to score. And if you can't clean up special teams mistakes, you're giving the other team better field position, which leads to easier points for them. Fixing the fundamentals. It's not an option. It's a must. It's urgent. The Chiefs making the playoffs or not at this point is almost irrelevant. This season just needs to be a wake-up call. It needs to be a necessary blip. Something that happened that was unfortunate, but they learned, they grew, and they got better as an organization. Almost look at it as an organizational audit. They cannot keep slapping short-term fixes while ignoring some of these long-term problems. If the Chiefs want to maximize Mahomes' prime, because he's still in his prime, they need to give him what lesser quarterbacks get all the time: a balanced offense, strong fundamentals, and clear structure. Dynasties crumble when the foundations get weak. Fix the foundations, fix the fundamentals, and the dynasty will come back. I view a dynasty is over, and it's a little controversial take, when the team no longer makes the playoffs. If the Chiefs don't make the playoffs, I consider their dynasty to be done. But the next season, if they make the Super Bowl, I might make an audit to my thought. And who am I? But I, that's how important this is for this team and this organization this season, this off season. Some changes going to have to be made. Just like building Lego or a house with a sound foundation, you can always rebuild. And I know this team can. Um, like look at the Patriots after their own after they went undefeated, lost in the Super Bowl, they had a couple droughts, then make the playoffs, and all of a sudden 2014 they're back in it and they won a Super Bowl. And look at the Niners. Niners were dominant in the 80s, kind of that drop after Montana left. Steve Young was still playing. Cowboys were up. They were able to sneak one Super Bowl in to get to number five. The down years didn't kill them. It just helped them reset. The landscape changed. You're not so much the top dog. Now you have to find a way to adapt to the new NFL. Like during the Patriots year, when they were down, they were able to get Gerard Mayo, Gerard Mayo, a former New England coach. He ended up being an All-Pro for them, make the Pro Bowl several times, and then they had the number, and they picked that number 9. Like that was a huge pick for them. And I think drafting in the drafting in the top 20 is going to be huge for them because now they're going to be in the middle of the round. If they want to move up, they can get capital, get a solid player. If they can stay pat and do what they need to do, or they can drop down and go, hey, we want to get more players in the second round. Some of those contracts can definitely help us out. So I think as long as this team and this organization is able to take this as almost a reset year, an audit year, um, they can get back to where they need to go. My fear for them, just like any organization, is if they don't take this year serious, this will be a trend and not a blip. Whatever they do next will decide the next decade for Kansas City. So that was my talk. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Have a wonderful day.